Hi, my name is Lucas, and I'm going to help you to figure out number 6. The ratio of the interior angles of two regular polygons is 9 to 7. Find all such pairs. So the first thing I did when I looked at this problem is I tried to figure. So I was writing down what regular polygons are, which is just any shape that is 3 or more sides. Because if you have a two-sided shape, it doesn't exist because the lines don't connect. So anything that's 3 and above. And so I was comparing them, the interior angles, 90 to 60, 3 to 2. But that's not the 9 to 7 that we need. So I was thinking, okay, we have a triangle, right? And a square can be split up into 2 triangles, which is why a square is 360 degrees, because it's 2 triangles, right? Which means a 5-sided shape. Now, this isn't drawn to scale, but it can be split up into 3 equal triangles, which is why a pentagon is 540 degrees. And so you could see there's an underlying similarity between, once you go up one amount, like when you add one side to each shape, right? And that similarity is written out right here in this formula. And the way that we derived it, right? So the n minus 2 is the amount of sides that you have, right? Because you cannot have 2 sides in any shape. It has to be at least 3. So 3 minus 2 would be 1. And then 1 times 180 would be the amount of angles in the shape, which is why, 3 for a triangle is 180. That's where that ratio comes from. Because this has 2 triangles and this has 3 triangles. So if you try to do square, you do 4 minus 2 is 2. So 2 times 180 is 360. So each shape can be split up into a certain amount of triangles, so you have the amount of sides minus 2. And then this whole divided by n is to figure out what the angle is that you need to compare to, because you're only comparing one angle since all the angles in the shape are the same. And so, for example, we'll do this one then, right? So we have 180, and this is a 5-sided shape. So 5 minus 2, right? So we already know we did that. 3 times 180 is 540, right? This is 3, and then 3 times 180. Now that divided by 5, okay, so we have 540, 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. We can bring down a 4. That is 0. Bring down a 0. That's 8. So 108 degrees is per angle in here. So there's 5 angles total here, right? And each one of them is 108 degrees, whereas this one's 90. You could compare those two, 108 to 90, right? I'll simplify these out. You end up getting 12 to 10, which is 6 to 5, right? And so that's not what we're looking for, but you get the idea. So since we have this, we can keep going. We know now we have 2 equations, right? Or we set them up as a ratio. And when you set something up as a ratio, that means that this divided by this equals the ratio. That's basically what it means. So what I did here was I put it into this form instead, and I set it equal to the 9 over 7 that we need. And then if you look here, I just wanted to solve for it, so I flipped and multiplied this. We have 180 n minus 2 over n here, and then the 180 m minus 2 over m flipped, so it's m over 180 m minus 2, and then you multiply across. The 180s cancel, and then you can just distribute the m to this and distribute the n to this, and then you get mn minus 2m and mn minus 2n equals that 9 over 7. And then what I did was I wanted to get these two, the numerator and the denominator, I want to get them on different sides of the equation. So I multiplied this by the mn minus 2n over 1, so that this and this cancel, but then multiply to the other side of the equation so that it's on this side, and then you come to here, right? So you have this 9 over 7 ratio. Now for you guys, obviously this will just be whatever your ratio is. In our example problem, it's 9 over 7. Yeah. So what you want to do is you want to separate the 9 and the 7. Because you don't want to deal with like ugly numbers. So I just multiply this by 7. Write that out. Plus 7 on 1. Right. So that the 7s cancel, and then you just have 9 on this side, right? And then 7 on this side. So 7 and 9. And now from this point on, just distribute, right? So we have 7mn minus 14m equals 9mn minus 18n, right? And from here on out, you can, cancel like terms, which is the mn's, and then you're going to get 2mn, and then bring everything to one side of the equation. So we have 2mn equals 18n plus 14m. And for me, you want to simplify this as much as possible just so that the numbers are nicer. So I just divided the whole equation by 2. And that being 0 equals mn minus 9n plus 7n. Now this looks like it could be factored, right? So we have the mn that I put here and here, and we want to get a minus 9n plus 7m in the end. So I put the minus on this side so that when you distribute, you have this m times n, which is there, this m times plus 7m, which is there, and then this negative 9 times n, so that this is minus 9n. Now here we have negative 9 times a 7, which is a negative 63, and so I just put that on this side of the equation, because when we multiply this by this, we want to get negative 63. So the whole point of this, okay, you may be a little confused. So what we're going to do, we're going to figure out the factors of this number, right? And then we want those factors to be these two multiplied by each other. And what I mean by that, right? So here's all the factors that I have right now, right? So let's just test negative 1 and 63, right? And what I mean by that, you'll see in a second. So negative 1, right? I want this parentheses right here to be negative 1. And the way I do that, obviously, I could set this equation equal to negative 1. And I just in my head, because these are easier numbers, what number minus 9 equals negative 1? 8 does. So in this scenario, m is 8, right? And that is a valid number because it's not negative, because you can't have negative amount of sides, and it's more than 3. So this is a valid number for m. And then you do for the other side as well. So 63. I want this to equal 63. Now, and the purpose of this is because you want, if this equals negative 1 now, right? It's negative 1, and then this side equals 63, so that it's negative 1 times 63 to make negative 63. That's the purpose of this. And you're just testing out all the factors that you have that you can make from your number that you get here. And you get this number by, taking, when you have these out, whatever your two integers are, right? So you're just going to keep testing points here. I figured out, you can't have the second one be a negative, because if I want this to be negative, that means I need to have an even bigger negative number. So here, I have negative 70. Negative 70, that's too big. Or it's negative. You cannot have a negative side. So I automatically crossed off all the ones that have a negative that corresponds to the positive sign. Because if you have a positive sign, that means if you have a positive sign here and you're trying to make it into a negative number, you have to use a negative number, and you can't have a negative side. So I crossed off those 3 options. I also crossed off this one, the negative 7, 9 one, because when you're looking at it, if you want this to be negative 7, this side to be negative 7, that means you do 2 minus 9 equals negative 7. And 2 for m is not possible, because that would mean that it is only a 2-sided shape, which is impossible. So that was already crossed off. Then I knew I could only use these ones, and I showed you this one, that we would end up just getting the 8 and the 56. So that's where the 56a comes from. And then this one works because if you want this to be negative 3, right, we do 6 minus 9 equals negative 3. And if we want the other side to be 21, 14 plus 7 equals 21. Right? So then we use these two, and for the, that's why I was showing you this earlier. It needs to be m is greater than n, and so I just rearranged it so that the bigger number comes first because we're putting it in m and n terms. So 2 points are 56.8 and 14.6. Thanks for watching.